Welcome to the One Gang Worldwide podcast, your ultimate ride into the world of motorcycles. Visit cyclesworldwide.com where we offer a completely free marketplace for everything motorcycles. Join our One Gang community where you can connect, share info, and swap stories with riders from all over the world. Join for free at cyclesworldwide.com and be a part of the One Gang community right now. In this episode of One Gang Worldwide, we sit down with Cary Brobeck, the heart and history behind Choppers Magazine. From his early days at Easyriders to reviving one of the most iconic names in the custom motorcycle world, Cary has spent over 4 decades capturing and preserving the soul of chopper culture. Hear his journey through the highs and lows of chasing his passion. This isn't just about bikes, it's about honoring the history of a one-of-a-kind community.
So I needed whatever it was, say 10 grand, somewhere around there, right? And those guys either saved the magazine or saved me from selling my panhead, right? Because they had enough faith in me to go, okay, here's some money for the next 10 issues. Knowing damn well I could put out 2 more issues and fold this thing. And they knew it. Yeah. They took that risk thinking.
One Gang Worldwide podcast, brought to you by Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping. Since 1978, Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping has been the trusted name in transporting motorcycles safely across the country. With custom designed pallets and air ride trailers, your bike is secure and protected every step of the way. By choosing Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping, you're supporting a dedicated small business that prioritizes quality and customer satisfaction. Ship with a peace of mind, knowing your motorcycle is in expert hands. Visit keyboardmotorcycleshipping.com for more information. Now, let's dive into today's episode. What's up, One Gang? We got a great show today, man. We got Cary Brobeck, the soul behind Chopper Magazine. Cary, welcome to the show, man. It's been a pleasure getting you on here and can't wait to hear your journey.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Definitely, Cary. We're excited to have you here. So let's start it, in the beginning. Let's go way back to your childhood. What was your first memory of motorcycles? Where did that passion come from? And what kind of kid were you?
Oh, man. I got a lot of childhood trauma, so this might turn into a...
Good.
All right.
Chopper
Therapy
trauma is
session.
always good.
Yeah, it's a good therapy session here. No, I grew up kind of in a biker household. My stepdad had bikes as far back as I can remember. He wasn't a club guy, but he hung around a lot of club guys. They were always at the house. I'll leave all the club names out of it.
Gotcha.
But they were always around. And they were bikers. They were fucking bikers, man. Like I remember, so I grew up skateboarding, BMX, all the same stuff. I grew up in the 80s. So late 70s.
Are you a California kid?
Yes. Yeah. Born and raised California. So, didn't really like those guys, really, be honest with you. But, always being around them, the partying, the drugs, the everything, it was there. It was like, kind of like a movie, if you watch like The Mask, all that biker shit that was going on out there, right? So, didn't really care for it. I knew that wasn't the life that I wanted, but it was there. So there's that, and then there's also the positive side of it, which was my grandfather, who used to race motorcycles in like the Baja 1000.
Wow.
So I would going down there. I started thinking back the other day, actually listening to the podcast I did with Dan up for Mama Tried, and I think I misspoke a little bit. I remember I was a kid in the back of a pickup truck, the chase truck, basically. But I think by that time he was already done with motorcycles. Because he used to ride motorcycles, and I remember him telling me stories of he was the only guy that was like doing the solo trips. Like even back then in the late 70s, they had teams, right? So you rode for a little bit, you switched riders. It was about the bike making it. Yeah. And he was one guy doing the whole 1,000 miles, right?
Jeez.
Like Scott Harding.
But when I started going on those trips, it's a long time ago. My memory's kind of shit, but I think he was already racing buggies and a Bronco, and he was into the 4 wheels by that time. But yeah, so I have a bunch of pictures and some trophies and some stuff that he won from like the Mint 400, and
That's
you know,
awesome.
and yeah. So I talked about this on the other podcast too. And I remember and I have some shirts too, that his race team is the best name of a race team ever.
What?
It was called Fart.
Fart.
Fast Ass Racing Team.
That's
And they had like a farting the motorcycle. I don't know. It's a crazy design, but it was cool. So I got kind of you know, I've got good memories, bad memories of motorcycling, growing up. So that's kind of
you
what it's always.
gravitated more towards your grandpa's side than you did to your stepdad's side, correct?
Yeah. I knew that I didn't want any part of that club life. And on an early age, I was like, man, these guys, like I said, back then, the club guys are a little different. There's still some pretty gnarly guys, but this is a little different now. I remember, I think I was trying to learn to ollie back in the day. I was probably not even fucking 10 or 12 yet. And my skateboard almost hit a bike. Didn't hit it, but it came within 10 feet.
Right.
And a guy came over and he grabbed my skateboard and he just fucking broke it over his knee. And, they all laughed and I was just like, fuck, like that was my skateboard,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there was some shit going on back then. So, I mean, that's what kind of instilled all the two-wheel passion for me, And by the way, I'm still like to this day, I'm super intrigued on like the club life of the late 60s, early 70s, right? It's so cool. Like it's not so much what's going on now with all the politics and all the wars and all that, but back in the day, man, they were pretty righteous, man. And I've gotten to know a few guys that were there, unfortunately some of them have passed, but I've gotten to interview and talk to a few guys that were there from the beginning of that stuff.
Yeah.
What's up, One Gang? I used to think that if I spent big money on riding gear with a logo on the back, I was getting top quality. I gave Leather Up a shot. I wasn't sure at first, could I really get quality gear without spending a fortune? But after putting tens of thousands of miles on their jackets and vests, I had my answer. No busted zippers, no loose stitching, just solid, well-made gear that lasts. Leather Up carries trusted brands like Milwaukee Leather, Hot Leathers, and more, with gear for every rider and every budget. Plus, their customer service actually cares and picks up the phone, something rare these days. So do yourself a favor, check out leatherup.com. Whether you need jackets, vests, chaps, boots, helmets, or luggage, they've got you covered. And because you're part of the One Gang Worldwide family, use code CW20 at checkout for 20% off your entire order. Stop overpaying, gear up with Leather Up, and see the difference yourself.
Definitely a different world.
Because you're around those kind of characters, did you have, obviously you had an aversion to the club life early on, but were you still fascinated with motorcycles? Did that impact that kind of interest at all?
I mean, early on, yeah, like I don't remember ever. I remember saying I'm going to ride one day, right when I was little, but then with all the bullshit that came along with it, I remember saying, like, fuck this. I don't want any part of this life.
Right.
Like I'm like, I bounced in and out of my house and lived with my grandparents for a lot of time. And knew that was the life I wanted. I wanted to be a dad, a family guy, right? I knew that was the route I needed to take, and kind of just suppressed all this passion for motorcycling for a lot of years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. After you started getting through, when you got through high school, did you end up going to school, to college? Did you follow that path? Which way did you go after high school?
Yeah, no, I did. I tried. I wasn't the best student. I was a great student until I kind of found girls.
Yeah, they tend to screw our minds up at young ages.
Like I went to high school in the 80s, so it was what it was,
too.
and tried going to school, didn't work out for me, so went through a wildland firefighter academy and became got on a shot crew for a couple years. It was back then, it was seasonal. Now I think they're full time, but and then in the off time, I was just fucking off.
Right.
I was just I had earned all my money in, 6-7 months, and then, couldn't spend any of it because you're on fires. And then
Right.
I would just party. Kind of wasted my life away when my grandfather came to me and said, all right, enough. I'm not going to allow this for you. So he took me over to the Ironworkers Union, signed me up for the apprenticeship school, and became a union ironworker for, I think 10, 12 years, somewhere
No
around there.
shit. Wow.
Yeah. So
Did you feel like he kind of set you in the right path though, man? I mean, at this point in time, were you still partying pretty hard, or did you kind of start to change at this moment?
no, in your 20s, you're still partying pretty hard.
Yeah,
right?
of course. We're kids of the 80s, man.
Yeah. It was still partying. Now I'm an ironworker. Now I'm in, good shape, and I'm, having a good time, going to bars, getting in fights, doing all, all that punk rock shit that we did growing up. And, but yeah, I mean, that was the path I took. I went and worked, and, still at this point, I wasn't riding, like, still was around a bunch of guys that were riding motorcycles. But at that point I kind of had gotten into, like rock crawling for when I had an FJ40 that was my daily driver, and you would take it off road. So that was kind of my passion for a long time.
Oh shit.
So
Sweet.
Yeah.
So
when did you get your first bike?
So it was way later in life. I think in my 30s.
No shit. All right.
Wow.
For somebody who was around it all the time, you hit it late.
Yeah. I mean, I rode. I had friends in high school that their brothers had bikes, and
Right.
it was mostly sport bikes. So we were around, we'd cruise around the sport bikes, and, so I knew how to ride. I just, like I said, I really didn't want anything to do with it, man. And then, it wasn't until I got married, started my family, to where I was like, oh fuck, man. It finally like surfaced, like,
Huh.
I don't know, time to get a bike, and, I did. And actually, got my first bike, and it was, one of the, of all things, it was one of those, SNS, Gilroy Indians.
Oh,
So-
yeah. With the SNS
Yeah,
motors.
it-
Yep.
Yeah, and because it was cheap. So immediately I just pulled everything off that I could. And like, I didn't even, at this point, my mom was already remarried to another guy and another club. And he was still riding around on his, I can't remember what year it is, early 50s. He had a chopper. So he was a club guy riding a chopper, like a proper,
chopper.
lopside shovel, chopper.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. So start tearing everything off I could. You can only go so far.
That's right.
with a bike like that without,
Yeah.
I'm not a fabricator. I can, I can spot weld some, but that's about it. So I wasn't about to cut the frame and do all that stuff. So it wasn't until I met a few friends that were in the chopper scene that started building bikes with them. So just kind of rode around on a cut down, modified stock bike for a long time. I think I did the first El Diablo run, or it's actually the second one for my first one, but it was El Diablo run 2 on like a stock bike. And then I think that was the eye opener of like, holy shit, like I need to build a chopper. So,
Yeah. So what year was this, and how much was the Indian? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't, could have been 6,000 or 7,000.
Okay.
You're talking,
Cool.
yeah, it's 20,
over
20 years ago.
Yeah, they were like I think like late 90s, early 2000s. They made it for a few years, and then they went back to bankruptcy, man. And they don't last too long, man.
Well, no, those were actually really cool bikes, man. It's a bummer. I don't care for what they look like now. I get progression. I understand.
Yeah, of
but
course.
When those Gilroy bikes came out, those were, I mean, as close as you could get to an Indian, right? With modern technology,
right? For sure. And on top of that, man, you had the SNS technology in there, so you had a great motor. great transmission. I mean, it was, I think it was motor wise, they were better than Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
Eh,
So you
Kind of
eventually found yourself working at Wrench Magazine. How did you originally get into the magazine world?
So it's a funny story that I met Matt and Dean from Dice Magazine and kind of hit it off with them. And I don't want to say help them with their magazine. I didn't help them, but it was around it, right? Like
Okay.
we would help stuff envelopes to send mags out. And that was kind of my intro into the publishing world. Um, and got the job at Paisano by doing a biker build off with a friend of mine, Jason Wilson from Sacred Steel. And we had to do it was on History Channel, and we were doing a bike that was it's basically a theme bike, right? After a old World War II Mustang plane. And then the guy that we were going up against had to do a Japanese Zero style plane bike, sorry.
I think I
And
saw that.
yeah, it was fun. We were just complete idiots the whole time we were filming. Like because we were just having fun. We were
Right.
just having a good time. And at
Great.
that point, I think the Jesse J, all that other craze, Orange County Choppers. I can't remember if it was full blown or it was already tapering down. I can't remember the timeline there, but we weren't falling for that same nonsense of like, oh, let's start an argument.
Right.
Let's
The
protect
The drama,
all
the
these.
drama.
We like they were trying to get us to do all that shit. They were trying to get us,
So
oh,
stupid.
you should send someone over and dump manure in their front yard or something. And I think we, as a team, we decided like, let's just send them flowers. And I think we dressed somebody up in like a bunny suit and gave him flowers to go take him. It was like, hey, good luck with your build, buddy. Hope you win. It was like complete opposite of what they want us to do. And we ended up winning. Our bike. I think the other guy's bike outperformed. It was a performance bike, but our bike was like handmade. Like,
Yeah.
Jason Wilson is one of the best
Yeah,
fabricators I've
man.
ever seen.
He's
Man.
incredible.
He handmade the tank, the oil bag, like he was hand making everything. So we killed him in every other aspect except the performance part. So we won the show, and one of the judges was Dave Nichols, who's a longtime editor of Easyriders.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, let's go celebrate, and we went out like every good biker does. You go out for some margaritas, and we probably had one too many. And then I started in on him like, man, what happened, Easyriders? It just went to shit. Like it's you have shit bikes, you have ugly girls, you have this, and I went pretty hard. And then he basically said, well, why don't you come make it better? And I thought, yeah, right.
No way.
Like you're really gonna you're gonna have a guy come that's never worked in publishing, that's never shot photos for anything, never written stories for anything. You're gonna let me come and work for you. Okay, yeah. I was like, yeah, give me a call, buddy. Sure. Well, he did. He called me up. So at this point, I think I had just finished my Panhead, the one I'm still writing today.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, come down to Agora. I want to talk to you. So of course I'm excited, right? Like I grew up with Easyriders Magazine. I grew up with it. It was like I got kicked out of school for bringing it.
Yeah, because they were taboo. They were taboo, man.
Yeah,
they were great. You had bikes and naked girls. I mean, what else does a teenager boy in the 80s want, man? So I get it. I had those too.
I always tell the story like, man, I think the first time like I rubbed one out was to an Easyriders Magazine. And now here I'm like, I'm thinking all this while I'm writing my Panhead to the office.
Hey, only on the One Gang Worldwide podcast, you get to find out when Cary rubbed one out for the first time.
So that's funny. I was a kid and flipping through it, and you're like, wow, So I'm riding down there, and I'm like, is this happening? Like I'm kind of, I'm in construction. I've been in construction since I was in my 20s, right? So I have a very good career. I've made a good life for myself. My wife has a good career. I didn't need this. I didn't need to go work for them.
Right.
This was just a passion thing, right? So I get down there and he says, well, okay, kid, I'm like, at this point, probably mid 30s, maybe late 30s. And he's calling me kid. I'm running multi-million-dollar companies. And he's like, hey, kid, all right.
Hey, kid.
And everyone in the office was like, oh, this is the new kid. Everybody's old.
Right,
Dean was there. Beatnik, who still works with us, was there. Kit, like just everybody, all the characters from Paisano were still there.
That's cool.
Kim Peterson was, giving me shots of whiskey in the office when I got there. But, so he says, well, okay, let's see what you can do. What do you have coming up? And I said, well, there's this ride I did last year, is the El Diablo run. And, I bring it up again because that was like the most biker shit that was going on back in the day.
For sure.
So he's like, okay, we'll give you a couple pages. Go do it. So we do the ride, we party, we have a good time. I met a bunch of guys like the Death Trap Motorcycle Club guys and partied. It was old school biker shit party in Mexico. So I come back and I'm sitting down at my computer like, oh fuck, how do I write this? Like, how do I tell all this? Like, how do I write this story? So I just started writing how I would talk, and there was a lot of pauses. There was a lot of fuck words. There was a lot of I just wrote, and I thought, oh, they're going to edit this shit out. They're never going to publish this. Right. And at that point, as I'm writing it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to take this back to the way it used to be. And so I wrote, it was pretty raw, and, gave it to him, gave him the photos. And I can't even remember taking the photos. Cause when you're in Mexico, you're drinking a lot, you're having a good time. And I was just snapping away, I guess. And I learned right away to shoot from my bike, and I'm not a photographer at all. That was, I don't claim to be, I can't, I just take pictures. And
raw is the right word.
Yeah. Turn it all in, get the magazine. And he's like, oh yeah, we loved it. It's great. I get the issue, and it's like 6 or 7 pages, which back then was a lot, like in Easyriders, you got 6 pages. I was blown away, and they were like, man, you did great. Clean Dean from Biker Mag wanted to run it. So he ran it, used different photos, kind of the same story. It was kind of the spark of of bringing bikership back to Easyriders, I think. I think it lost its way a little bit. I remember sitting in video meetings with those guys, and Joe Teresi, rest in peace, Joe Teresi. He would say a lot of shit, thinking he would think back to how successful he was. At this point, they're in a decline just because the internet's out, right? The internet's out. No one needs to buy a magazine every month anymore. And I'd have some ideas, and he would just fucking laugh at me, and he'd be like, oh, hold on. Let's see what the Easyriders Savior is going to fucking say now. And I would just
ribbon you.
Yeah. And, so that was my time with it. So getting back to wrench. So what happened is we started putting a lot more choppers. I started bringing this to the table, a lot of what we're doing at Choppers Mag, right? I started bringing this to the table of Easyriders, and Dave Nichols was like, this is fucking great. And he would run them. And so now he's running, not that he wasn't running them before, but I think they were a little different. They were more themey, more showy bikes. He started running more raw, knuckleheads, panted, choppers.
Garage builds.
Yeah. And I think Resi didn't see the value in that. And I now understand why, because it's hard to sell an ad when you're showing old garage built bikes, right?
Right.
We were just talking about Brian Clock. Why is he going to advertise on a magazine that shows old choppers? It doesn't show any of his product. I get it.
Yeah.
So he didn't like the direction Easyriders was going because of that. So he said, you know what? I'm just going to give you your own magazine. I'll give you your own mag, and we'll So, and it'll all be choppers. So I was like, okay, go,
Jeez.
I remember we kicked around names so much, and I hated the name Wrench, but it was what they were able to, as you guys know, and I found out, and get to that story later, doing Choppers Mag, is everything's trademarked, social media names are taken, websites are taken or bought, and somebody wants 20,000 for you to get the name because it was a cool name.
Yeah.
So they decided on Wrench, and I tried to fight it, but I don't think I had anything better. So we just went with it. And we put out some issues and they were really good. They were really good issues. Unfortunately, they had a hard time selling ads also, right? Because they were trying to sell ads to their current clients.
Right, subscribers.
And I think they bought it. Like, so if you look in early Wrench magazines, you've got ads that you're like, why is there an ad for, this shotgun exhaust that, looks like a, rotary, machine gun, like stuff that chopper guys don't use.
Yeah.
So eventually I think it lasted a couple years and then it went into like an insert into Easyriders and they couldn't sell ads. They just couldn't sell ads. They were they didn't keep up with the times basically there, Joe Teresi at one point said that the internet was a fad and it was going to go away. So
yeah,
that was kind of the mindset there. And they were so successful for so long.
Yeah.
It was hard, and they didn't bring in, before me, they weren't bringing in any youth to like kind of lead them in the path of what's going on. They just were based on their old clients,
right?
Like their old customers. And I think that's what happened to Harley too, really, right? It's like not now, but back in the a while ago, Harley was still just going after their same old customers, not selling bikes to new riders, and we weren't selling mags to new. Easyriders wasn't reaching out to new people, the younger generation that doesn't care about magazines. So
right. Yeah, so you were on that cusp of transitioning them from print to media, right? So that's obviously when you got a bunch of old school guys who only come from print, for them to start to transition into that media world and that unknown for them, it almost scares them to kind of take that next step. You mentioned a few of the things that I wanted to ask you about as far as like knowing when you were on the right path. What was that first scene like with Wrench when you kind of took it over and they basically handed you the keys? What type of, like, how were you getting your stories and what shows were you going to? Like, well, how did you bring that magazine out into the scene?
I mean, it was easy because there was Easyriders, right? So Easyriders promoted it. I just introduced a whole new network of photographers. And with the photography, there's most of them do the writing too. It was early shows, even like the Born Freeze, when Born Free came out, which is coming up, which is kind of in California. That is the Super Bowl of bike, right? It is the biggest show in California. Kind of the one of the coolest shows, there's the big ones. There's Born Free, Mama Trieds, that are newer things. They're not the Sturgises and Daytonas and Laconia. Obviously those have been going on for way longer, but for people my age and younger, they weren't really about going to those week-long rallies and stuff. So I started focusing on these smaller runs, and the smaller runs, the El Diablos, the Born Frees, and bunch just started popping up, right? A bunch of like smaller shows started popping up. I tried to incorporate rides, instead of just doing, okay, we're this issue, this features about Sturgis. No, this features about the ride to Sturgis, about riding 50-year-old motorcycles to Sturgis. There's more stories there than there
is. In the journey itself and the destination.
More stories there, and they're funnier, and more shit happens, and then just we had wrench bike shows back when there was the Easyriders. I think it's the Iron Horse Saloon now, is right there on Lozelle. That it was the I think it was branded whatever Easyrider Saloon, right? And we had bike shows there, but it's still, it's a bike show in the parking lot. Like, right. You get some characters, you get the, we get the Danger Dans and the Roadside Martys talking all kinds of shit, having a good time, but it's guys standing around looking at bikes. I think what's way more exciting is the journey to get there. So that's right. I started focusing on that. And then, like I said, reaching out to different photographers. And at that point, people just started coming to me anyways. It wasn't even, I didn't have to reach out a lot anymore. They were just like, hey, we're doing this show.
That's
here.
great.
And I'm like, do you have someone to shoot it? Because, it would be back east and I'm in California and I'd be like, Paisano didn't have budgets to like send me, to North Carolina for a show,
Right.
for a 2-day show. Right. So I just find a photographer, shoot it, turn it in. So that's kind of,
Oh, no kidding.
that's how all the,
That's cool.
Yeah. That shift to having people contacting you had to have been pretty edifying and felt good. So let's talk about the turning point, reviving Choppers Magazine. What was going through your mind at the time, and what did that moment really feel like to take on the responsibility of carrying such a legendary title?
so it all started actually while I was still with Paisano. Like Teresi was trying to sell the magazine. He actually put it up for auction. And without telling anybody, I just bid on it. I was like, I wonder what I can do. Right. I didn't even know how I was going to get the money. I was like, and I won. I put a bid in at like literally $1,001,001.
For what?
And I won.
Damn.
Price
I
is
won
right.
it. Right. It was a silent auction. And I was like, okay, I know some rich people. I could gather up $1 million
Figure it out.
for the Easyriders name.
Mhm.
Well, there was some fine print, supposedly. I don't remember seeing it, but Teresi was like, no, I need 4 million minimum. And I was like, well, I don't know that many.
What?
It's like, no.
Yeah.
So I had gathered some investors together and I was like, okay, for 4 million, maybe, and another million to turn this thing around, we could make something out of this again. And that didn't work because the people that I brought in kind of fucked me out of the deal. They like, we had a deal and they stretched it out and they made another deal without myself. Dave Nichols was part of it. Dave and I put this whole business plan together to take control of the magazine and put something out. And these other, I'm not even going to say their names. The other guys came in and they turned it into what it was when it became that fashion magazine. So luckily I got out. While all that's kind of going on, I had what this older guy approach me and say like, why are you going to do this? Like, just start your own magazine. I'll fund it. And I said,
Sweet.
yeah, let's do it. You're going to
Okay.
fund it. And I do the content. I was like, yeah, let's do it. While researching for mags again, just like doing Wrench, it was just like everything cool was taken, or, if a trademark was open, you couldn't get the social media or you couldn't get the website.
Right.
Somebody wanted 20,000 for that. And I was just like, oh
Yep.
man. So I was just sitting kind of in my garage going, I remember looking through old Easyriders, like trying to find keywords to call the magazine.
Yeah.
And then I looked and I've got those old Ed Roth Choppers mags, the small digest size ones, right?
Those are badass.
And and I was like, oh, let me look through these for some keywords. And I was like, I'm searching. So I got my laptop and searching, nothing's coming up. And for some reason I go, what's going on with Choppers Magazine? I look up Choppers Magazine. The trademark is available. I look up Choppers Magazine, Instagram, it's available. The Facebook is available. The website's available.
Crazy.
So I call this guy and I say, hey, this is it. And he was like, fuck, jumped on it. We got everything. Which was a mistake because he ended up putting everything in his name. So after we secured everything, I said, okay, well, I can't do this unless I have the blessing of somebody from the Roth family. Like, that's the right thing to do. Even though legally we could have, we owned the trademark. The trademark was done. I got a hold of Daryl Roth through a friend of a friend and had a phone conversation with him. So to start out, he was not happy. He was just like, you can't do that. And I was like, well, we did. Like, we can. And
what was his fight? Well, Cary, what was
I'm
his
sorry?
fight? What was his fight at that time? Why did he say you can't do
this
that?
is his dad's legacy. This is his dad's legacy. This is magazine, right? I understood, and I wasn't being aggressive. I wasn't being a jerk. I understood 100%. If somebody came in and said, I got your dad's company name because it was trademarks were open, I would have been equally upset, right? So I explained to him, like, look, you can have it. I was like, we're $1,500 into this thing, with securing everything. Like, I will hand everything over to you. Done deal. It's yours. But you have to make a magazine. I was like, I wanted to make a magazine. I wanted to continue this name. I've always been a fan of Ed Roth, always, been a fan of his motorcycles, his building, his cars. So I said, please just do this. And in the end, things got a little more friendly. And in the end of the phone call, he's like, I don't want anything to do with this. You have my blessing.
Nice.
And that was all I needed to go forward.
Man, what a shift.
I didn't, not only the legal stuff behind, like, I didn't want to have to fight anything. I would just give it up, call it something else, if he really wanted it. If I didn't have his blessing, I wouldn't have done it. I 100% would not have done it if he would have said, fuck you, you can't do it. And I'm not magazine. I would have called it something else. So after getting his blessing, went full forward with the first issue. And it wasn't into like issue 2. Well, my partner was like doing some shady stuff that I didn't agree with, and then had to end up buying him out. We mutually agreed on he'll leave for a large sum of money that I had to come up with. And
just
the rest is
just going into the second issue already.
I want to say maybe the third. It's like between the second and third. But yeah, it was right away. Can
you talk about it or no?
I could talk a little. What I'd like to talk about is how I saved it.
All right,
because the amount of money.
So we want to hear.
Yeah, the money was more than what I was willing to. Like, I couldn't put my family money into it, right? Like we have, we make a decent living, but I couldn't go to my wife and say, hey, I need this much money for this magazine. She would tell me, I understand, right? And rightfully so. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to get this? So I'm thinking about selling my Panhead, and I reached out to a buddy, and he was like, dude, you can't sell it. That's you. That bike is you. You've had it, 10 years now, 15 years. Like, do not sell it. And this was Bear from Old Bike Barn at the time. Old Bike Barn and White Knuckler. And you guys should have him on your podcast. He's an interesting cat. And now he does the Himalayan tours and all that.
That's cool.
So I'm talking to him. He's a businessman, and I wasn't asking him for money. I was just like asking for advice. And he says, well, how much are your ads? And I tell him how much they are. And he says, let me call you back. I have an idea. So we got a hold of a few people. One was Bill from Builtwell, and one was Walter from Kickstart Cycles. And those three guys pre-bought 10 issues of ads, money up front.
Man.
And that was the money I had that I needed to pay. That I had already made some payments to him, so I needed whatever it was, say 10 grand, somewhere around there, right? And those guys either saved the magazine or saved me from selling my Panhead, right? Because they had enough faith in me to go, okay, here's some money for the next 10 issues, knowing damn well I could put out 2 more issues and fold this thing. And they knew it. Yeah. They took that risk, thinking like, hey, here's money, no strings attached. Hopefully you can make it happen. No hard feelings if you can't. And these were friends, and these were, colleagues in the motorcycle industry. So I always, I have a lot of loyalty to those guys because they did that for me. But yeah, I was able to pay the guy out and move forward with everything. And I'll tell you what, getting that issue out, that 10th issue for them, was just like a weight off my shoulders, because I felt like I owed it to those guys. I really did. I had to get these 10 issues out, and I struggled. It's not hard to sell ads, like I talked about earlier, for a magazine with just vintage shoppers, right? Mm-hmm. Bootwell still continues to buy ads. A few other people, Frank Ball, 5 Ball, a couple other of my close friends still buy ads, but bigger companies, they're not interested. They want video. They want a big video and social media presence, which, man, I'm 52, man. I ain't got time. Like, these podcasts are cool. I like doing these podcasts, but I can't see myself, I'm not this guy. Hey, hi everybody.
Right.
Like,
everybody's been asking me.
Yeah, I mean, you got a job, you got a company to run, and then on top of that, you got a business to run.
Family,
so
I ain't got
too much.
Yeah.
Listen, let me ask you this: what kind of resistance did you get bringing the choppers back to life? Did the community and the people who were used to the old magazine, did they embrace it right away, or did you kind of have to earn respect all over again?
For the most part, I already had a pretty solid reputation in the industry, so I didn't get any resistance. I'm sure there was some hipster kids, some purists that were like, "Oh, fuck this guy," but I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it at all. I got a lot of support from the community right out of the gate. We put out a good product. We're not putting out a shit publication. We're not.
Right.
It's and now even more so now that we went to 100 pages in Perfect Bound Mag, it's like every single issue is a coffee table book. It's not a throwaway monthly publication.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
That actually leads me into the next question about, running a magazine and building a movement are two different things. And that coffee table comment you made kind of leans to it. How did you go about assembling your team, and what were you looking for in the people that you brought on to pursue the vision that you had for it?
I didn't. It wasn't really kind of premeditated, right?
Okay.
I brought Beatnik along. So Beatnik, Steve Warner, he was a long time layout guy for Biker Mag and Easyriders, and they really kind of did him dirty when the new people took over. They did some shady stuff and got rid of everybody. Yeah, so he came along with me. That was an easy no-brainer. Guys like Kim Peterson, he was like, dude, I have 40 years of archives I could share with the mag. So no-brainer, bring these guys on board. These were my mentors. I even at the time I brought Dave Nichols on board because they kind of did him dirty. He ended up, because it switched hands again, he ended up going back, which I don't blame him. That was his thing. So I brought some of the guys from Paisano with me that kind of got shit on. And then my like copy editors, managing editor now, Max Barna, he was just, I know, I think I might have met him on Chop Cult, and he was just this shit talking young kid, but very intelligent, and I made some comments and he called me on my shit right away, and I was like, oh, I like this kid,
Right.
he's holding me accountable for what I'm saying. Look at that. So we hit it up. This is years ago. This is way before Choppers was a thing, and we kept in contact every now and then. And I always say, Max is he's a little guy, but he's scrappy. He's a well-educated individual that will punch you in the mouth for saying the wrong thing. Right. Like, so, he was a perfect fit for this. So yeah. And he's great. He's been, doing all the copy edit for us. And, I really wasn't, up to speed on the way he edits and everything. And I was like a little hesitant at first, but he was like, just trust me. I'm used to Reno Mag's kind of long paragraph form, traditional high school, 4 or 5 sentences per paragraph. And he started breaking stuff up, and he's like, it's easier to read. Trust me. And I was like, dude, it looks weird. It looks like we don't know what we're doing. But again, highly educated individual, like ironworker biker. So I had to trust the kid, and it worked out. People loved it. And we get a lot of good feedback from our writing. Photos, of course, are great. And a lot of people there's a lot of great photographers out there, but the writing part is a lot harder than people think,
Yeah. No joke.
Yeah. It's because a lot of times people send stories and, you're dealing with garage builders that are maybe not be educated or are humble. They don't want to talk about themselves, and they don't want, or they miss a lot of,
details.
The thing we used to get all the time is like, my friend Jeff gave me this, and I'm like, well, fucking explain who Jeff is. Like, what do you? Oh, he's the old biker guy down the road that's been building bikes for 30 years. I'm like, there you go. Put that in there. So, Max is good about getting that out of people. So, yeah, he's been great. been a pain in my ass, but he's been great. So, and then I got Manny. So Manny's like my general manager. He's been helping a lot with all the events. I needed kind of like a right-hand man that I just didn't have, you know. When I got rid of the partner, I was like the right-hand man. No, I take that back. He was just a money guy. He was like my right-hand man, but I needed somebody to keep us focused, keep us like, keep us relevant. Cause I don't know what's cool, man. I mean, look at this. I've designed this fucking shirt, you know, thinking it was cool and whatever. Like, I don't think I sold many. You know, so I needed something a little bit more, you know.
Yeah, a little
not
bit
so
more
much-
hip than us 50-year-old guys. Yeah, I
I'm just
get
a
it.
dad.
I get it.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just a dad, construction worker, biker. Like I'm not in the know of like what's cool. You know, everything I do has been done before. Like I'm a very traditional guy.
All right,
you
you
know.
stick to tradition. It's not a bad thing. Cary, let me ask you this, man. In a world addicted to fast scrolling and short attention spans, how hard is it to make people slow down and kind of care about the kind of deep, passionate storytelling you guys try to put into the Chopper magazine?
Man, that's a good question. The short answer to that is I don't really care. You want to scroll. Like I'm going to keep putting out what I want to put out, whether I sell 4,000 or 5,000 copies or 1,000 copies of the mag. Like I'm just going to keep true to myself, and hopefully you'll take the time to catch on, right? Like it is hard. It's hard. It's always a challenge. Like a bike gets shot for a feature, and you know, the last few years we've been quarterly. So you shoot a bike, and if I can't get it in that next feature, it's not coming out for 6 months.
Right.
So by the time that 6 months comes along, the photographer, the model, or the builders like already put the photos on social media.
Right.
So
So you lose that exclusivity.
what are you gonna do? You can't. Yeah, it's because everybody wants the accolades. The bike's out, it's been out, and I can't. I'm not mad at them. I just go ahead, but you know, hey, direct people to the magazine. Maybe if you're putting this out, say, hey, it's coming out in an issue. So it's tough for any publication, I would imagine, you know, that's not doing, you know, I watch what like Dice Magazine and Cycle Source is doing. Like those guys, that's what they do for a living. So they can get on camera and they can have a bike out a month after it's finished building. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I got to put out a better quality magazine to make people want to buy it. I'm putting out a collectible, basically.
Yep.
Not.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good way.
I
to
love
put
the
it.
approach you're taking, man. It really is a collectible, since especially now that it's coming out on a quarterly level, you're getting only a certain amount of issues a year. So, I mean, it's magazines that you will keep forever. Yeah, it's not anything that's going to end up in the trash. So most people who subscribe to this are people who collect this type of stuff. So, I mean, it's phenomenal work that you and your team do.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I've been a part of a few publications, and one of the funniest ones is there was like this 100-foot long hallway in this office building, and it was a layout day. So they had printed each page and gone through to have it. I guess that's how the owner wanted it, to be able to walk through and literally walk through the pages. That, you know, blood and sweat and hard work behind the scenes. What are some of those details that people who are just perusing the pages don't realize goes into it?
Yeah. So what you're talking about, in I learned it's called they blue line it, and I think the blue line came from, and I have a couple issues that were given to me back in the day, early days before Photoshop, before you know, IMAX and all that. Like they were using vellum and print and getting a printed issue, right? And it was all blue. Like I have this Easyriders issue, and all the ink is blue. It's weird. So I call it blue line. You're looking for any mistakes. You're looking for any bleed issues, you know, as much as you can. It's a pain in the ass. It really is. The way we do it is, you know, we set everything up in InDesign, and we go through and every feature is a separate file, Once we think we have that dialed, we plug it into the whole magazine file
project. Okay.
And within there, we're finding corrections all the time. And then once the whole thing is done, myself, Max, Beatnik, go through the whole issue. Each of us go through and find problems. And it's all digital now. We don't print everything out because Max is in Philadelphia, Beatnik is in Ventura. I'm in, I'm in Doherty. So it's not physically printed out yet.
It'd be a few $100 in ink just to print it out in 3 locations.
Yeah. It's just not necessary to print everything out. You can, everything's just digital now. So that happens. Then it goes to my printer, and I've got a new printer, and he actually rides a chopper. And a funny story about the printer is I had another local printer. It's printed here in Southern California. We don't get it printed overseas or anything. We get it printed here. We pick it up. And we pick every issue up. They're all stored here in my house.
Good.
Very cool.
So a buddy of mine is hanging out with these guys, and he goes, "Hey, this guy Nate, he works for a print shop. He wants, he said he could print your mag." When he said that, I was like, "Oh, biker dude, print shop. Yeah, okay." So for a couple of issues, I was just, no, I'm good with my printer, and I had a good printer. I had no issues with him. And I finally meet the guy. He says, "Well, come down to my shop and check out our operation. See if you want to give us a shot." So he gives me the address. I get there. It's like 7 buildings, and he's a greasy biker like me, right? And he's like, he's the GM of the place, and they're printing for like LA Unified School District, and they had no business printing our small runs, right? And he's like, "Dude, I can help you out," and he beat my other printer's price by a lot. So I was like, man, this is a win-win. He's a biker. He's a friend, has this amazing print shop, amazing equipment, and turnaround time was faster. So his name's Nate, and he works for a company called iColor.
Yep.
And if you guys are looking for printers for anything, he's your guy.
Okay.
He's the guy, man. He's
the sleeper printer.
Yeah. I mean, he's just, like I said, he rides an old chopper and manages this huge company. So it works out. Well, let me get back to him. So he calls me up. "Hey, we're ready for you to look at it." So then I go to him, and he's got everything laid out. So big giant sheets of paper with and I forgot the term, how it's, it's not like chronological, the pages, because they get folded.
Okay.
How it's printed. And I go through we go through every single page. And what's cool about him is they make corrections. He goes, "Hey, this photo cropped a little bit weird. We moved it over, an eighth of an inch to make this better, or this text had it over." So his whole staff does that. Makes little minor adjustments to make it better. So
you found a unicorn. That's crazy.
Oh man, yeah, he's the best, man.
That's what happens. That's what happens, man. When you do things the right way, good people come into your life. You know what I mean? And that's the truth.
Hey guys, the show will be back in 1 minute right after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, One Gang, tired of feeling like your butt's taking more of a beating than your bike on those long rides? Introducing Butt Buffer, the ultimate solution to saddle soreness. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These cushions are made from medical-grade viscoelastic polymer, scientifically crafted to eliminate pressure points and keep your circulation flowing. No more numb nuts or numb butts. And here's the best part. Butt Buffer cushions are made right here in the US for the last 30 years. From Harleys to Hondas, we've got a cushion to fit your ride perfectly. Plus, with styles ranging from sleek pebble polymer to luxurious sheepskin, there's a Butt Buffer for every rider's style. Get your Butt Buffer today at buttbuffer.com. That's buttbuffer.com. Your butt will thank you, and you'll ride longer and happier. We've got your butt covered.
So, hey, let's talk a little bit about Chopper Fest. Take us into that. What inspired that?
So Chopper Fest. So I've been going to Chopper Fest since it started, right? It's David Mann Chopper Fest. It's a celebration of David Mann's life. Everyone knows he was, I hate saying this, but there's no better way to explain it. He's the Norman Rockwell of the
absolute
biker
chopper
community.
world. Yep.
I mean, he's so iconic. Everybody knows who he is.
That's right.
So I've been going to this show for a long time. I don't know if I missed any. I have hoodie sweatshirts. Like, I'm not a guy that goes to an event and buys a shirt, for some reason, every time I went to this event, I
Yeah.
bought a sweatshirt. I don't know why.
That says something about the event.
Yeah. So I've been going for a long time. We've been setting up as Choppers Mag for the past few years. Not this last year, but the previous year, there was a big 1%er fight between two clubs that spilled into our booth. Literally, they were fighting in our booth. I mean,
Unbelievable.
it was wild. It was crazy. So at this point, I was like, man, I'm not going back next year. There's going to be retaliation. Gonna be that. Like, I think I'm done. I'm gonna give it a rest. Tori Duvarney, who ran this with his dad Huggy for a long time. He owned a place called The Shop. He was friends with David Mann, and the actual first one that Huggy put on was like a swap meet. Actually, take it back. Huggy used to put these shows on, and that is where David and Jackie got married at one of his shows. So after David passed away, he thought, I'm going to do a memorial for him. And, that was 21 years ago. So he did this, and Chopperfest turned into what it is.
Right.
Fast forward to 2 years ago when there was a big fight, and I'm thinking about not coming back, kind of, 6 months before the next show, Tori shoots me a text and is like, hey, give me a call. I want to talk to you about the show. And I was like, oh, this is going to be an uncomfortable call because I have to tell him that I'm probably not going. And this is why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I call him and he says, before you say anything, I'm sorry all this happened to you. This is why it happened. There was a breakdown with the police department. There was some issues going on. It's all taken care of. It's all taken care of. And I was like, oh, cool. Because I was going to tell you I wasn't going to go, but now great. We'll be there. And he's like, funny you say that, because he's like, I think it's time for me to move on. And I think you're the guy to take it over. And I was
no way.
I'm at work. I'm like, I'm a quality manager at LAX right now for some projects. And I'm at work. I'm like standing on a taxiway. Like, I got to get in my truck. Hold on. So, Tori is just the sweetest guy ever, man. He's just like me. He's a family guy, loves his family.
Nice.
Has had a passion for this show for 20 years. I say, hey, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not saying no to this, right? But I say, hey, I got it.
Let me think about it.
Yeah, I was like, let me think about it. It's a big undertaking, right? It's a big show.
Yeah.
I say, I got to talk to my wife. So, because, my wife is a part of everything that we do here. So, I call her up and I go, hey, something came up. And we had already talked about not going to the show because of that, right? I said, well, something came up, and she's like, oh no. I said, I'll tell you when I get home. So get home, and I say, Tori asked us to take it over. She's like, what do you mean take it over? And I said, he wants us to buy the show. And I was like, she's like, what'd you tell him? And I was like, I told him I had to talk to you. She's like, you already know you're going to say, she knew this. Well,
funny.
This has been my favorite show since it's been around.
Right.
There was
Massive points with the wife, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So she knew.
Well played.
Yeah. So she agreed. She's like, okay, but if it's going to do it, you got to do it right the way he does it. Because she knows that, the other shows that we do, we kind of fly by the seat of our pants. We do the Virginia City Roundup on a limited staff because it's very loose. And she gets mad all the time because, we don't have enough security or something. Like, she's like, you can't do that with the show. I said, okay, I promise you. So we end up making a deal with Tori. We take it over. He kind of walks us through last year, the whole thing. And really, just like Tori couldn't do without his wife, I couldn't do the show without mine and Manny and some of the other staff that helps out. It's a great show. But yeah, it is. It was a very successful show for us. We learned a lot, and we learned a lot for our other shows. And within this, like taking the show over, I've known Jackie Mann, but I became a lot closer with her now. She's in Kansas City. I called her up. I tried to get her out. I was like, Jackie, you have to come out. It's our first year taking over. Like, come out to the show. She's like, I have health issues and I smoke and I don't want to be on a plane that long and I'm not driving that far. And I kind of joked with her and said, well, if you won't come here, I'll bring a show to you. And she's like, that'd be a great idea. And it was kind of a joke, but not really. Like, I think I've always thought there should be a show there to honor David Mann. That's where he's from. He grew up in Kansas City, right? So I call up my buddies, Davey Gant and Tommy Boy and Kenny Slaughter, and I say, hey, do you think we could do this? Do you think? And they were just like, fuck yeah, we'll close down the West Bottoms. We could, like, it overnight turned into an event.
Wow, man.
And I say, well, let me call Jackie. And I say, Jackie, we can make it happen. And she's like, let's do it. Let's do it. Again, we don't have to have her permission or anything, but I think Jackie's kind of been
respect.
There's a lot of issues around the Paisano and the rights of David Mann's artwork and stuff. And Jackie kind of got the short end of the stick. So I want to make sure she doesn't for this show, for our shows. Doesn't
Carrie,
get
that's
the short
freaking
end.
awesome, bro.
Yeah. So make a deal with her. All right, we're bringing the show out. I went there last month. Went to Kansas City to set everything up. Met with the city people. Met with all the stakeholders where we're doing it, and we've got a show in Kansas City September 20th. Met with some of the Galloping Goose guy who was there on behalf of the El Forsteros and Galloping Gooses, and he's like, "Oh, we got a bunch of art that no one's ever seen except club members. Can we bring it?"
Wow.
And I was like,
no way.
So we've got a gallery for those guys. We're shutting down Genesee Street in the West Bottoms. We got the parking lot of the Hy-Vee Arena. Harley Davidson is in as our title sponsor. It's called Chopper Fest, but it's a motorcycle show. We want everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. I don't care what you're riding,
Hey, what's killer about being in KC? It's kind of central, so you can get the Eastern riders that aren't far away to come. I mean, California is a long trip for people, so you guys were mainly local and everybody close by going to the Cali scene. Now you can get both East and West there.
Yeah, I mean, and the greatest thing is, like, this is where David Mann is from.
Exactly.
This is where it all started. It all started here, so it makes sense, right? It makes sense to bring the show there. So September 20th. We're rocking and rolling there, man.
Killer, bro. Congratulations. Good job with that. That's cool. Great story.
Yeah. So you've had to juggle a lot. Editing, organizing, curating, sometimes maybe even questioning whether it's worth it. What do you do to kind of push through those times and remind yourself that what you're doing is valiant?
Man, it's just in me, man. It's just a passion. Like, it's like, I don't know what I'd be doing if I didn't. Right. This passion for motorcycles and turn into this passion for publishing is kind of consuming my life now, right? It's lots of coffee, lots of late nights.
Right on.
Lots of late nights, early mornings. Sometimes, if I start work at 6 a.m. and I got a 40-minute commute. So sometimes I'm up early just writing. And I still pack orders. Like, we do have some fulfillment, but for the most part, all the magazines are here. So anytime anyone orders a magazine, I usually pack it myself. When we send out all our subscriptions, the family gets involved. Just some friends will come and help out too. But we're printing late, packing out of here. I don't know. I don't even know where it comes. People always ask me, like, how do you find time? And I'm still involved with all my kids' scouts, and my older boy is his second year UCSD, and now he's training MMA with some UFC fighters, and he's fighting. So we're going out to San Diego to watch fights, and like,
wow, very cool.
He just, I'll sleep when I'm dead, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, that kind of transitions well into this next question, because you mentioned multiple times throughout this podcast, you're a dad. Your life is really more family based. You're not a kid anymore where you're out and about. Well, family life doesn't always get talked about in the custom world too much. How do you balance your life as a father, a husband, but also with the demand of being the culture keeper for not only your magazine, but now the Chopper Fest too?
Yeah, well, a couple ways. One way, we travel a lot. Luckily, the position I'm in at work, I can sometimes work remotely. I've been in Italy at bike shows and set an alarm for 4 a.m. just to get up and go to a meeting. But the main way is I travel with my wife, right? Like my wife
Nice.
comes along to every event. Like I don't really go do anything without her. Um,
That's
and
huge.
I wouldn't really want it any other way. I mean, she's my best friend. She's my partner in the magazine. She's, um, she's my travel buddy, and we have a good time when we travel. We got some other friends, Simon and Dana, that we travel a lot with. And we try and do shows like that. We bring my son, like, I have one son left. He's 14. We bring him when we can, when he's, it's not interfering with school. We bring him. If not, we've been lucky enough. We have a house with a guest house where either my in-laws are back there, or right now my nephew's back there, where he's in good hands, so we got to
Cool.
leave, we leave for 4 days or something. And, he's a teenager. He doesn't care that we're here or not.
Right. See you later, Darren.
When
See ya,
he was
guys.
younger and we had to travel, when we were younger, when he was younger, we had to travel. My in-laws were here to watch him. So it's, thankfully we had them, or probably couldn't have done it. So it's a lot of family involvement to maintain this. Right.
Yeah. Do your boys think it's cool, or are they kind of like, dad and his motorcycles? Are they tired of it, or are they interested?
They're coming around now. I think
Good.
they're coming around. Like they could care less, like, yeah, I always tell the story of, I think it was, I read it somewhere that James Hetfield's kids like thought their dad was a nerd. I'm like,
Yes, I
sing your
read the
mouth,
same
like,
thing.
you think your dad's a nerd? Like, Jesus, there's no hope for any dad at all if you think that, if he's a nerd,
Right.
Yeah.
But like my youngest, he wears Choppers Mag stuff or motorcycle stuff to school every day.
Killer.
Every single day he's wearing Choppers
That's
Mag.
cool. Heck yeah, man.
And when we get new products, he's like, and I got to get samples. I'll get samples in his size so that he can rock
Sport
it to
it, yeah.
school.
Yeah.
But he's coming along. I
think.
think they're figuring out. Like my daughter, she's 26 and she's figuring out now. Like she has her and her boyfriend started a catering business, and they do burgers called Burger Insanity. And we've now got them following the bike circuit. So they're doing a lot of motorcycle stuff.
Nice.
And, she'll be,
Yeah.
I remember she texted me once, this was a few years ago, text me like, there's a guy in this bar wearing one of your hats. Like, that's cool. Like, she's
Yeah. Hey, is your
I
wife?
think they've started to figure out.
Your wife share passion like that too, regarding the motorcycles?
Yeah, she does. Maybe not as much anymore, but she enjoys the travel. She enjoys, I think she enjoys it.
Stuff like
puts
that.
off because she rides. She's been riding for a long time and
Nice.
can probably outride most of my friends. Like
Killer.
she can get up and go, man. And she's ridden in Japan. She's ridden. I haven't ridden in Italy. We rode through France. She's ridden the Sturgis. She rode a chopper to Sturgis 3 times. Like, rigid chopper. Like she's
Good for
she's
her.
pretty
Man.
hardcore.
That's killer, man.
Yeah.
I love that. That's good.
Oh yeah, she gets So
Good.
Right on. So the chopper world, the chopper culture, the scene, it's changed so much since the 70s, the 80s, and I mean even the early 2000s. What have you seen that has changed and caught your attention over these years and through these trends, for better or for worse?
Man, for worse, I don't know why I always go to for worse. Like it's become almost like a fashion accessory. I think, I do see people come and go. And it's like people are using it to gain. I don't know. It's all about followers and Instagram.
I know, man.
And like,
It's so
Oh yeah,
our social media kind of sucks, man. It's like, I just put in, I struggle sometimes to be like, what am I going to post today? Like if I'm not on my bike riding, what am I going to post?
Right.
Like, how many times can I post one of my hats, or how many times can I,
Right.
So I try and pull I'll try and pull from like either upcoming features or stuff like that. But for the most part, that's where I see this whole influencer game. And, I've been called an influencer, and I'm like, no, maybe Chopper Egg is an influencer, but not me. I don't want that title.
Yeah, well, love it or hate it, man, you are, because you and here's why. I'm saying it in a positive way, because your passion chose your path to go down this road to get this magazine, to keep this whole thing alive still. You're still involved in it. You don't have to be. You're financially okay doing what you're doing, but this is pure love, what you're doing. And that to me is more of an influencer than somebody who's a fly by night just looking for likes. What you're doing is you're really putting out product that people care about instead of just this flash in the pan thing. So even though us being older, we don't think like that, like the younger generation does with this, influencer stuff, man, I love what you do. And I keep doing it, man. Don't be an influencer, but keep doing what you're doing. So
Yeah, it's hard. Like I said, I get a lot of people saying, no, you should start a podcast. I'm like, man, like you guys are doing a podcast already. Danger Dan's doing a podcast. Like, you don't even know, there's no need for I just like going on the podcast and having a good time,
you got a good story to
getting
tell
meeting.
anyway.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
what does the future of Choppers Magazine look like to you? Are you thinking kind of evolution, expansion? What's your true soul saying at this point in time, going into the next, let's say, 5 years of the magazine?
I'm always just thinking about getting out the next issue. Like as soon as we can get out getting out the next issue is
Right.
the future, but also, the events like, we have our Virginia City Roundup, and we're going to have 2 Chopper Fest shows. We're doing a lot of shows with Harley Davidson, doing chopper shows for them. I don't know if that's gonna uphold. We've been doing these shows with Harley for a while. I could already see it kind of maybe tapering off. I don't know, but we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing, man, and maybe just focus on those 3 shows. Keep putting out magazines. I've been kicking the idea around a long time. I think my wife is against it because it's just taking more time. Is doing a magazine. I already have a name. And we talked that we kind of did a soft launch of it, and then it fizzled out. Is doing a magazine
out loud. Somebody's
like
going to buy the
Choppers.
domain.
Yeah, like Choppers, but for new bikes, right? And then that way, I can get some advertising dollars. But I do worry about that. I worry about doing something like that becoming now. It would just be full time, like
Carrie,
which is not a bad thing. But
hey, quick question about. I apologize to interrupt you. I wanted to ask you. I kind of understand what you're talking about now, that as far as the limited advertising when you're dealing with the chopper world. There's very few companies that specialize strictly in chopper products where you can get the maximum dollars out who have them. Everybody else are just small little businesses that are working and grinding little parts that they sell out into, through social media, stuff like that. So that's kind of where it lacks the big dollars in regards to be able to really fund Choppers Magazine on a higher level. So I get what you're saying as far as looking for an alternative still in the custom bike world, but that features a little bit more of the new companies now because there's a lot more dollars out there for them to be able to advertise their product and help you launch what you're looking for. So am I right on that? Or
yeah, 100%. But and what's funny is the last few years working with Harley and the people that I work with there have been amazing. It's been great. I know they're going through some shit right now. But I've had a chance to meet Jochen and talk to him and know that he's really passionate about Harley Davidson motorcycles. So all that stuff, I don't even know why I said that, but I know where I was going with this is I was always, early on in the choppers, like a lot of guys are like, man, like fuck the factory guys, like choppers, bro, like fuck Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
And you're like,
You're right.
saying that while wearing a Harley shirt, riding a panhead,
right,
Right.
with Harley
Harley
OEM parts on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even know why I like one day just dawned on me, like, why do I hate this company that I support wholeheartedly? Like, why am I against? Why? Because they won't make a knucklehead, a panhead now? Like, it's just silly, right? It's just nonsense. It's just nonsense to think that
Agreed.
Harley's going to put out another knucklehead. It's not. Like, there's progression in everything, and just I matured and then embraced the motor company. And then shortly after that is when I started working with them. Like I embraced the motor company prior to working with them, a few years prior. And I remember getting a call one time from Jeff Holt, and Jeff goes, "Hey, are you going to Daytona?" And I was like, "Nah, man, that's not our bag, man. Like I've never been to Daytona, and I don't have a lot of interest in, you know, at this point, there's still a lot of big wheel bagger stuff going on, and especially in Daytona, right?"
Right.
Well, no, it's not our thing. And he goes, "Well, you're going to get a phone call from a buddy from Harley, and they want you to do a chopper show there. You should do it." And I was like, "Oh, man, I don't know." You know, talk to the guy. It was great. Offered enough money to get us all out there, a little bit of money for our pocket, and put on a show. It was a success. I know a lot of people that go there. You know, Jojo out there, he's like the freaking mayor of Daytona, really. Like he owns a pizza shop, and he brings in a whole crew of guys, and they just have a blast out there, right? So these shows are, even these old shows, Sturgis, Daytonas, Laconia, they are what you make them, right? So I got into working with the motor company after that show, and we had a good time. We had a good show, and they said, "Hey, do one in Sturgis." We did one in Sturgis. "Hey, do one in Texas for Born Free." You know, and it was just like snowballed. and this all came from, you know, I think just putting it out there, not putting it out there, but just maybe good karma. I don't know, not being that angry.
Right,
you know.
right. Not closing the door on everything. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, you familiar with Daytona, with Willie's Tropical?
Of course. Yeah.
That's a good show. They get some good shit for you, for your magazine stuff.
That is the best chopper show in Daytona by far. And we do a chopper show there.
Agreed.
I actually have not been able to go to one because our shows are early in the week, and I've got to, you know, I got to get back to work or get back to the family. And so we come out, we do our show on Monday or Tuesday, and I'm out by Wednesday usually.
Do you have somebody that represents, or do you have somebody that goes out there for you?
I finally, you know, what's funny is, man,
if you need somebody, I'll do it for you. I enjoy going there anyway. So
funny story about Willie's is I always was a little intimidated. Like I heard like a lot of things like, "Oh, you know, he's not going to be happy you're doing a show out there." That's all bullshit, man.
No, he's a good dude.
I finally reached out to him, got a hold of him, and went down there. He's the nicest guy, man.
Good dude.
And we invite him to the show now. He gives out a trophy. We didn't do Daytona the last 2 years. He gave out a Willie's pick. And I'm really bummed out that I haven't been to one of his shows, but we're going to make it. We're going to make it out to one of his shows. And you know, even if it's not to set up, just how we've given him banners. He loves our magazine. So we send him stuff all the time. And, you know, he's a legend. He's a legend in the game. You got to give respect to that. So,
yeah. All right, Carrie, if there's one message that you can get across to the next generation of builders, riders, chopper heads, what would it be? And not the glossy version, but the real grit, the real truth.
Man, I'd say like, be a little more open-minded, right? I think a lot of guys are stuck on like, "Oh, you got to have a slab side shovel. You got to have like, fuck that. Like, build what you can afford. Number one, stop being a hater. Like, just stop hating on guys. Like, do your thing. Who cares what other people are doing? Right?
That's huge.
You're not going to invent anything new. You're not doing anything new, right? Like, it's all been done. So stop hating on guys. "Oh, this guy copied me this, and they copied me here." And we're all copying what they did in the 70s anyway. So it doesn't matter. Just, you know, have fun. Stop worrying about what other people are doing. Stop worrying about, you know, what people are riding. Stop with the Instagram. Like, you know, post some stuff, have a good time, but, you know, don't do it for likes. Don't do it for followers. Do it because you love it, and that's it. And you'll get those followers and those likes if you're doing it for
that's right.
Your own
authentic.
Like, they're gonna. So,
great advice, man. Great advice.
Yeah.
That's you know, that's Dave Perrowitz said it that way. Paul Yaffe said it that way. We had just had Brian Clarks. He said it that way, and you're saying it that way. It's just do it because you love it, not because you're looking to get famous. And that's the difference between the greats and the wannabes.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to get a little woo-woo on you, but I just read this study that so the human body emits frequencies, and they put a bunch of people in a Faraday cage so there was no interference. And when they're feeling love or joy, that's the highest frequency that they could get to. But then occasionally they would get this crazy burst of a higher frequency. And this is science, so it's not truly woo-woo, but they got that data, researched, tried to figure out what was going on, brought everybody back in, and it turns out that those are in moments of authenticity. So when you're being your authentic self, that's where you're aligned most with that higher vibration, higher frequency that you emit. I just read that this morning. I thought it was fascinating.
I thought you were going to say when they're thinking about motorcycles. But yeah.
Well, for some of us, it would be. Yeah.
Ben bringing some Dr. Phil shit to the show. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Carrie, where can people find you? And what social media platforms is Choppers Magazine really active on?
So mostly Instagram, you
Okay.
know, we, cause I think now I'm pretty sure I should know this, but I think we have everything linked, right? We post something on Instagram and it goes to Facebook.
Yeah,
and
LinkedIn and all that stuff. Yeah.
I don't know, but I think for the most part, we're posting Instagram. So, now we have the Choppers Mag Instagram. We have the VC Roundup, which we had to start a new page. It's a long story. So that one's growing. And now we have the Chopper Fest one, which is a pretty successful Instagram feed and Facebook feed.
Nice.
It's funny that the older generation is not really on Instagram. They're still on Facebook. So that's why you have everything just linked. So
yeah, the geezers are all on Facebook.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm one of them. So hey, remind our listeners all the dates that you have coming up for all your shows.
All right, so we'll be at Born Free coming up in June. I don't think that around the 20th. I don't know. I don't have a calendar in front of me.
Okay.
July. I don't think we have anything in July. I think I'm taking my son to see Oliver Peck for his 4th of July party to get his first tattoo. And then we get into August is when things get a little wild, right? We're going to do, I think we're backing out of Sturgis this year. It's just too much time away for not enough of what we need to get out of it. So we have the Virginia City Roundup coming, and that is the 23rd. 22nd is going to be the pre-party, that's where we're going in itself. It's in Piper's Opera House. We have Nikki Lane headlining, Rhyolite Sound opening up.
Nice.
And that is, that building, that opera house is built in the 1800s, like 1880. Wood floors,
cool.
like
That's
it's
killer.
Very cool.
We put on a proper honky tonk Friday night party, man. That's
All right,
great.
cool.
The next thing is the Roundup, where people don't know about that. You can sign a waiver and ride a bull. Like you can ride a bull, you can wrestle a steer, you can partake in the dead man drags. I don't know. I have to talk to my rodeo guy if we're doing a bull poker where you sit around a poker table and they put a bull out in the arena. The last sitting wins.
Good God, man.
Oh, it's some dude. Virginia City is still Wild West. It's crazy. Like they let us get away with a lot of shit. It's fun.
That's cool.
And it's a good mix of like bikers and cowboys and hippies and influencers. Everyone's there, man. It's
nice.
It's a great time. After that, we're doing the Four Corners for the first time. So we are doing the Four Corners rally. I talking with Trevor, been talking with him for the past 6 months or so, and finally locked that in where we got an opportunity to do the chopper show for them because Biltwell couldn't make it out this year. So, I work a lot with those guys. They recommended us. And so we're going to go put on a chopper show for them, have belt buckles. We do these really cool belt buckle awards for all the different events, all these like kind of Western themed events. So after that, then is Kansas City. So we have that Kansas City, which is September 20th. Kansas City Chopper Fest, which is going to be, I don't even know what to expect. I think we're going to have 10 or 15,000 people, or we're going to have
Yeah.
500 people. We'll see.
Right.
You know, there's the word is spreading over there a lot.
Good.
Harley's coming in as our title sponsor. We're working with the local Harley dealers there. So we're going to have a great mix of choppers and new bikes
Very
at
nice.
that show. And lots of space. You know, I got to thank, I don't know if you guys are okay with this, but I got to thank like 805 Beer for all stepping up, and Law Tigers for stepping up for that show. Russ Brown steps up for Chopper Fest in Ventura. So, you know, it's these shows are not possible without their support for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
After that,
And an important quick note, Carrie, for anybody listening, you've got your website. It's choppersmagazine.com, and there's an events tab, so you guys can check out all the events, get the correct dates and everything.
Yeah, all the dates are on there. After that, I think we're gonna go back to Italy. So there's 2 big shows in Italy that we have been going to the past few years. If you guys haven't been, make plan. Man, I'm telling you, I just found airline tickets $600 round trip.
Wow.
So you can get to Italy cheap.
Hey, how much tickets? How much are tickets to get into the show?
For which one?
With the 2 shows you're going to.
So Chopper Fest is a $15 pre-sale.
Yeah.
$15 to get in. If you want to register your bike to be in the show for a chance to get a belt buckle and our cash awards, we do like 5,000 giveaway in cash, 2,500 to best in show, and then 500 for the best in category. That's $50 to register your bike, but you get a free t-shirt, free show shirt, and a free poster.
Nice.
And you get to enter your bike. So
that's not bad at all.
$50 right there.
And I think for there, we're going to do a special shirt just for the bike, the people that put their bikes in the show. So you won't be able to buy that shirt there. It's going to be a special shirt just for anyone that puts their bike in the show.
That's cool.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's $15 general admission, $50 to register your bike with a free shirt and poster for that one. Virginia City is I think $20 to get in.
Yep.
And
Pre-sale.
yeah, and 25 at the door, I think. And that's kind of the same thing. We have a general admission and then a ride and bike show. We're not doing a free shirt for that one because we're trying to keep the cost down. But yeah, you get to park up top, get your bike all dusty and dirty. You know, that's the only issue with Virginia City is it's in the dirt, man. It's
in the dirt.
It's a West.
So all those clean,
you
shiny bikes coming in for the show, they'll leave that way.
Yeah, they gotta blow them off after, that's for sure. But it's a one hell of a time, man. And I think the Colorado one, I'm not too sure. We're not selling any tickets for that. That might be a free show, but I think there's a rodeo that the guys are selling to get into there. So I'm not too sure. Okay. I think we posted the flyer and a link in our blog or in our events blog there.
Yeah, you've got fourcornersmotorcyclerally.com.
Yep. So that's going to be a good time. And I haven't put up the Eternal City in Italy. That is in Rome. And that's a week after Kansas City.
Oh,
so
wow.
that one's going to be that's
a busy couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, that's going to be rough to explain to work. Like, hey, I need another week off to go to Rome. So
that's cool.
Who knows? Maybe I'll be doing this full time, not by choice.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what we have scheduled. Maybe back to Japan for Moon Eyes. We'll see.
We'll link the website and everything else to the show notes of this podcast, so that way they just click on it. They can get tickets, check out everything that you guys got going on. So we'll make it as easy as possible. All right, buddy, man, you did the questions. Now we got a 2-minute 15 question speed round. Here's the deal.
Okay.
Hey, here's the deal, right? If you don't make the 2 minutes, you send Ben and I an autographed Choppers magazine signed by you to us, so we can hang it, put it in a frame, and hang it on our wall here at the office. Deal?
I'll send you that in. Yeah, I'll send you some guys.
All right, killer. That'd be sweet for us, man. All right, buddy, let's start it up. Question 1: panhead, shovelhead, or knucklehead? What's your poison?
Panhead, 100%.
Okay, good. Me too. I'm a panhead guy too. First custom you ever fell in love with? Do you remember it?
Got to be one of Indian Larry's bikes. Got to be one of Indian Larry's early bikes.
Okay, nice. Print or digital? What's the real soul of a magazine?
Print, 100%.
Agreed.
No question asked. Yeah. You
Yeah.
can get Choppers Mag digitally, by the way, but there's nothing like holding it in your hands.
No, agreed.
Yep.
You can't see that.
Smell.
It just blends in with everything else. Who's got better stories, old school builders or new school fabricators?
Old school builders. Come on, man. That's an easy
I
one.
know.
That's
Hey, it
super
is an easy
one.
one. Well, I have to give
I
you a
gotta-
couple of I have to give you a couple of softball ones.
Yeah, those ones, those old guys, man, I'm telling you, I've had the chance to sit with a lot of them, and you know, a lot of these stories aren't written down. So when they die, man, these stories are gone.
I know,
So
I know,
keep
man.
some pretty good notes that, you know, maybe one day write a book about all this stuff. So
Who's one of your guys?
Next time you meet one, tell them about our One Gang podcast, please.
Okay.
we can
Will do.
document it.
Hey, what's one of the guys that you've really enjoyed meeting that surprised you a little bit?
Well, a couple like heavy hitters. Like I got to meet Sonny Barger before he passed away and go to his ranch in Arizona and interview him. And
Nice.
he was a really nice guy, man. Really, really nice guy. And then Lucky Mena, he was one of the original Vagos that started up.
Right.
I actually wrote a book on him that kind of got shut down by the club. So, it was about his life, not about the Vago life, but it was just the stories those guys can tell are insane.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, and this is pre all the wars going on when all the clubs kind of got along. It was just insane stories.
Man.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Favorite part of putting together an issue of Choppers Magazine?
The end when it's
When,
we can
it's,
get it
when it's ready for
people.
production and ready to go, ready for sales.
Yeah, like when I'm shipping it out, like and the feedback, I gotta say the feedback from it is always the best, you know.
Oh yeah.
People are stoked with it.
That's killer.
Yeah.
All right, one builder, dead or alive, you'd kill to interview.
A builder that I would kill to interview. Oh, Indian Larry.
Yeah,
Again, back
I
to
figured
Indian Larry.
I
you know,
figured you'd say that one.
I never got
agreed.
to meet him, and man, you know, luckily I'm good friends with Bobby Seeger, and you know the stories he's told me.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's by far my number one. Yeah.
yeah. Buzz Cantor told a couple of funny stories about him when he was first starting out, and he went to shoot American Iron magazine with some of his bikes, and the type of cat he was. He said he was a really great guy. Nobody's really had a bad word to say about him. Anybody who's met him that we've talked to. All right. Most overrated part of the custom motorcycle scene today.
Overrated part. You're talking about an aftermarket part. I've never seen one, but I've heard that they make a fake kicker pedal to where it's like you push the kicker down and it starts your bike. You have a starter.
The ignition.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
it just lights the ignition and kicks it out.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
shit.
I've never seen one personally. I've heard of them.
Have you ever
but
seen the fake tank shifter?
I have not.
Oh
That's
man,
even more.
they've got that.
What?
Some posers put them on and they act like they're shifting, but they're not shifting anything. So it's pretty funny to see.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
not a fan of these fake things on like, you know, when I seen Evo Motor and they put like panhead rocker boxes, and I have some friends that make this stuff out in France. I'm not a fan of it. I think you have an Evo Motor, have an Evo Motor. Like don't try and make it look like
I'm
that.
guilty.
Don't-
Some of our builds at our shop, we used to do like replica with today's technology, 48 pan, but we'd use an Evo with the panhead rocker boxes. It just gave it a nice look. But I know what you're saying. I mean, it's an Evo. It's not
I'm a
a
purist.
panhead. I get that. For sure. All right. What's louder, straight pipes or internet opinions?
Ooh. And I guess that depends on who's doing the who's making the opinions. But yeah, I think the opinions can be a little bit louder and cause a little
Agreed.
more fuss than straight pipes. Yeah.
Agreed. All right. Best soundtrack for
That's
laying
a
out
loaded
magazine.
question.
Yeah, I know. But everybody picks the right one like you did. Best soundtrack you're listening to for laying out a magazine at 2 a.m.
Oh man, that's a good one. It's usually got to be. It might be like Manic Hispanic or Cadillac Tramps. Like I'm an old punk rock kid, man.
Punk
and so
rock, yeah.
Right.
I'm not trying to listen to anything mellow, at 2 a.m. Like
right. You need that kick. It's like that coffee.
Yeah.
For music. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good one.
Yeah.
3 words that describe proper chopper build.
3 words. Ooh. Let me see. This one's gonna get me. Classic.
Yep.
Classic's gotta be classic, right?
For sure.
Man, I need to phone a friend on this one. I'm like trying to think of 3 specific words, that, I'm just thinking about my bikes. Like,
How about original?
It's got,
Do you like the original
Yeah.
part?
I'm not a period correct guy, so I wouldn't say original. I wouldn't use that one because
Okay.
I'm not one of these guys that's like you have to have
Right.
bait
It's got to
seat.
be same exact thing throughout.
I think classic style. It's got to have style, man. Like, good style is good style no
So-
matter what bike it is. Miles. You got to be able to put some miles on your bike.
Love
Put some
it.
fucking miles on your bike, or what's the point of it?
That's right. All right. Next
Good
one.
answer.
Beer in the garage or whiskey by the fire?
Oh, can't pick both.
You can say both. There's no rules.
I'm
to
saying
this game.
both, man, because honestly, I'm not drinking whiskey in the garage when I'm working. We're just, throwing
Right.
back a few cold beers for sure.
Yeah.
But man, a good old fashioned sitting by a
Hell
fireplace.
yeah, man. With a
With your
cigar,
lady.
with a cigar and a little whiskey.
There you
That's
go.
nice. That's a nice scene, man. All right. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, man. Dennis Hopper.
Oh, good one. All right.
Dennis Hopper.
That's an interesting choice. That's cool, man.
It-
Good for you. That's a
I mean,
great
yeah,
choice.
I'm looking behind you and I see that,
Oh, yeah.
I got to meet Fonda a few times. I got to ride with him on the Love Ride and stuff. Great guy.
Nice.
Great guy, but never got to meet Hopper, man. And like, when you watch those early things of him, he was such a weirdo, man. I love it.
Yeah, he was out
Yeah.
there, man, but that's what
He-
made him so good
Yep.
at what he did. Yeah, for sure. All right. One thing you see in every shop that always makes you smile.
Besides the Choppers Mag sticker somewhere.
Besides.
No, that's all you need is that. I mean, that's a smile right
Choppers Mag
there.
sticker. I love it, man. When because it's not like they put it on because I was coming over, right? You could tell it's been there for a long time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It does make me smile, man.
Of
It
course,
does.
man. That brings a
Yeah.
lot of it's awesome. All right. If you could time travel to one era of motorcycle culture, what year are you landing in?
Oh, it's got to be around maybe 1967, 67 when Ed Roth started Choppers Magazine.
Yeah.
It would have been great to just be there. Him, Robert Williams, all doing the layout for these mags would have been insane to
Yeah.
see.
Right. How
Think
they
so.
got around to see everything. That's so awesome. I know. You
Yep.
look back at that. I mean, they're just such pioneers. All right. Last question. Finish this sentence. Without choppers, the world would be what?
Fucking boring.
The greatest
would be
answer
boring.
you
I
could
mean-
have said, brother. The greatest answer.
I mean,
Nice.
the world would be boring, right? Like,
Agreed, man. You need that leaking fucking shit oil wherever it is. You need that sound. You need that look. They're just the most beautiful things in the world. I'm with you, man. I'm pure custom. Like baggers are obviously the look. I got nothing wrong to say about the new models that Harley's putting out. They're beautiful bikes. They're great to take on trips. They're comfortable as hell. But if you're giving me a choice to cruise, one or the other, it's not even close. I'm jumping on a chopper, a hardtail. I'm jumping on some custom bike and enjoying that a lot more.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. A few years ago, I needed a commuter bike to get back and forth to work because of traffic out here. So I bought an 86 FXRT. Great, phenomenal bike. Phenomenal bike. It was great. It was totally stock. And when I first bought it, my buddy Simo was like, "You're gonna love it. You're gonna just," because he's got FXRs. Simo was been around a lot longer than I have, and we took a trip to San Diego, like right when I bought it. He's like, "Let's jam out San Diego." Now they got the RT. Just get there real quick. We just haul ass there. I think we did one stop for gas and bathroom or something. And we get there and he was all smiles and he's like, because he's on his FXR and I'm on the RT. And he's like, "What'd you think, man? It's pretty awesome, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's uneventful." So he always teasing me about that. He's like, "Oh, you want to go on another uneventful ride?" Because nothing fell off, nothing's rattling. You're not looking at something. You're not trying to adjust your car while you're riding. You just get there, which is in this age now, I can appreciate that. Like I'm looking for a new Harley now. I think I'm thinking about pulling the trigger on buying a new bike just because.
Well, which one do you like? The lowrider?
Man, I think I love that bike, but I think so. I can pick up fleet bikes from Harley, and we've gotten the STs. My wife and I got a couple STs. We did a ride. It was amazing. It was such a to be able to push that button and go is nothing like it. But I think that bike's a little too small. And I was like, man, I already got my panhead. I just bought a 68 shovel, slab side shovel. So I want to have two choppers. I was like, man, I'll just go for it and just get like a road glide or something, and I don't need to do anything to it. I don't need to.
Right. It's just a cruising bike for you, man. That's just
maybe
touring.
change the bars more.
Yeah.
You can ride that thing to the moon and back.
Yeah, I know. That's what's nice about the new shit. No doubt.
No.
All right, man. Well, listen, you finished at 2 minutes and 1 second. So that means that we win and we get a signed copy from you to us so we can hang it on our wall here.
Yeah. You guys want the magazine or you want like a band? What are you looking for?
Man, whatever you give us is cool for us. So, all right.
All right.
I'll send you you the address, man. I'd love to be able to wave it right behind here, behind this Dennis Hopper and this photo here. So it'd be cool for us. But hey, listen, seriously, in all sincerity, man, Cary, thanks so much from the bottom of our hearts, man, taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you got a lot of shit on your plate to come on. And most of all, man, thanks for keeping the chopper culture alive. It's guys like you that preserves the history. We get to talk about it. That's what we love to do, is to hear the journey that you brought. But the fact that you continue to chase your passion, buy something, invest in it, and now put every ounce of your energy into making it to what it is, man. Kudos to you, your wife, your team, and everybody at Choppers Magazine.
Right on. Well, thanks for having me, guys. Been fun.
Definitely. Cary, one of my favorite recurring themes I noticed about your life is making things right. And I think that might be a good title for this episode, but talking about people getting screwed over by other companies or businesses, and then you stepping up and now they're with somebody. I'm sure that establishes some loyalty, but that says a lot about your character, and it builds that support group, that network around you. So it's easy to understand how people can follow suit with you, man. And we appreciate it. You're a genuine, authentic man, and we're beyond grateful that you took the time to spend with us today.
Thanks, brother.
Man, appreciate the words, guys.
Appreciate All right, it. Man. You have a great weekend, and thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks, Cary.
Man. See ya.
Ride safely out there.
Sweet.